Hello, everyone. This is our session 9 of the Hanuman Chalisa program. This session is where we're going to cover Chopai 17, 18, 19, and 20. And before we go into the verse 17, we are going to read out the Hanuman Chalisa till verse 16. Shri Guru Charan Saroj Raj निज मन मुकुर सुधार भरनौ रघुपर बिमल यश जोदायक फल चार बुद्धिहीन तनु जान के सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहे हरहु क्लेश विकार जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर राम दूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन वरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केशा हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा बिराजे कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज कर बेको आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुन बेको रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धारी सियाही दिखावे विकट रूप धारी लंका जरावे भीम रूप धारी असुर सहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाए संजीवन लिखन लखन जियाए श्री रघुबीर हर्ष उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही संभाई सहस बदन तुम्हारो यश गावे अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे संकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीषा नारद सारद सहित अहीशा यम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाँ ते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाँ ते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव हिन कीन्हा राम मिलाए राजपद दीन्हा. And now we are going to verse 17, which is the first verse that we're going to cover in this session. It sounds like तुम्हारो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना. In the previous session, I had mentioned that verse 17 is somehow related to verse 16. In verse 16, we spoke about Hanuman's personality and skill in managing a situation diplomatically. Verse 16 refers to how he introduced Sugriv to Lord Rama, and that resulted in them working together, with both Lord Rama and Sugriv benefiting from the relationship. Lord Rama is able to fight the war with the demon king Ravan, and Sugriv successfully got his kingdom back. This verse talks about another similar situation from the Ramayana. Vibhishan is Ravan's younger brother. Hanuman first laid eyes on him in Ravan's court when he was relaying Lord Rama's message to Ravan. Now imagine Hanuman standing by himself in Ravan's court with numerous other court people from Ravan's kingdom. The court would also be heavily guarded, and he is there for the first time. In such a situation, Hanuman was able to calmly read the faces of all the people present in the court and also recognize the thoughts and emotions running through their mind. He was very good at looking at people's faces and understanding their body language. He was able to identify that Vibhishan was pure of heart and was troubled and was in a dilemma. and and maybe even conflicted between family loyalty and what his conscience believed to be right. He was definitely opposed to Ravan's way of life and distraught that Ravan had kidnapped and brought Sita to Lanka. So Hanuman recognized this turmoil and approached Vibhishan, obviously outside the courthouse, and he used his skill in communication and persuasion and was actually able to get Vibhishan to agree to have a talk with Lord Rama. When Vibhishan met Lord Rama, he knew he had to do what his heart believed to be the right thing. And so, in this war between Ram and Ravan, he actually supported Lord Rama. There is another situation where the Lord Rama's supporters, Lord Rama's, everyone who was in his team, they did not agree that Vibhishan can be trusted. And that seemed reasonable from their point of view because it was a warlike situation and Vibhishan was the enemy's brother. And Vibhishan wanted to support Lord Rama. This is definitely not something that you would, lay your trust on. But at the same time, I'm not going to dive deeper into that story. We can discuss that later. If anyone wants to do that, please feel free to reach out to me one on one. For this session and for this verse, I have provided you with a good background. You understand where what the background is. And in the Ramayana, we know that Lord Rama kills the demon king Ravan, and Vibhishan helps Lord Rama in this quest. And then, when the war comes to an end, Vibhishan is crowned the king of Lanka. And that is what this verse is about. Tumharo mantra Vibhishan mana. That means Vibhishan heeded your advice. Lankeshwar bhai sab jag jana. This means, and he was crowned the king of Lanka, and the whole world knows it. So let's repeat this 4 more times. Tumharo mantra Vibhishan mana, Lankeshwar भय सब जग जाना. तुम्हारो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना. Again, तुम्हारो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना. And the last time, तुम्हारो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना. Wonderful. Now let's start with the next verse, verse 18. युग सहस्त्र योजन पर भानु, लील्यो तही madhur fal jano. In the first line of this verse, yug is a unit of time, and it basically stands for 12,000 years. The second word, sahastra, means a count of 1,000. Yojan is a unit of distance, and one yojan is about 6 to 9 miles in like how we understand it. Par Bhanu is the sun. So this first line is talking about the sun and how far away it is from the earth. So Yug Sahastra Yojan Par Bhanu, the sun is at miles away from us, at a great distance away from us. Lilyo Tahi Madhur Fal Janu. And you gobbled it up assuming it was a sweet fruit, sweet juicy fruit. Lilyo means, to swallow, and Madhur Fal is a sweet fruit. This verse actually is referring to another incident, not specifically from the Ramayana, but it is an incident from Hanuman's life, from his childhood. In those days, when the story is from, in those days there were no supermarkets like we have today, where you could just go and buy your food. people used to forage for their food in the forest. They would go into the forest and find fruits uh, and vegetables and eat them. Hanuman, as a kid, would eat a lot. He was a very healthy kid and he would eat a lot. And his mom had to spend a lot of time in the forest gathering fruits for him. One day, when it was later in the day, there was nothing left to eat because you would usually go out in the morning, forage for fruits, and then they would sit and eat it. And it was a little later in the day, and there was nothing left to eat. Hanuman goes to his mom and tells her that he is still hungry. And she was busy with other household work and gave Hanuman instructions. She thought Hanuman was big enough to go to the forest by himself. And so she gave Hanuman instructions on how to go to the forest and look for fruits. She also pointed at the setting sun and told him that it was turning red, and uh, and told him that he needs to be back before sunset. She also told him that the fruits that will be ripe would be as red as the sun. Hanuman, he was a kid at that time. He was an really great personality, but he was still a kid, and it is believed that the instructions that his mom gave, he got a little confused, and he thought that she told him that he can go and have the sun, which is red, and so he jumped up, took the sun in his hand and put it in his mouth. And this was refers to that incident. There is a continuation of the story about how he actually manages to, what happens after this, what happens when the sun is in his mouth. We do see the sun up in the sky even today. So definitely someone helped the sun come out of his mouth. So there's this whole story about that. But for now, I think you have a good background why this verse is there. It says Yug Sahastra Yojan Per Bhanu. That means the sun is thousands of miles away from us. Lilyo Tahi Madhur Fal Janu. And you gobbled it up, assuming it was a sweet, juicy fruit. So let's just repeat it a few more times so that you are comfortable with the words and are able to say it fluently. युग सहस्त्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो तही मधुर फल जानु. Again, युग सहस्त्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो तही मधुर फल जानु. Again, युग सहस्त्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो तही मधुर फल जानु. And the last time, युग सहस्त्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो तही मधुर फल जानु. Great. So we have done two verses, verses 17 and 18. Now we will do the other two verses, 19 and 20. Verse 19. Verse 19 is, let me sound it out first. Prabhu mudrika meli mukh mahi jaldi landhi gaye achraj nahi. And I'm sorry about the background noise. My little puppy, he is voicing his opinion. So you please try to ignore it. But let me sound this out again. Prabhu mudrika meli mukh mahi jaldi landhi gaye achraj nahi. Now, this verse is related to a story when Hanuman crosses the ocean and heads to Lanka to confirm if Sita is being held captive in Lanka by Ravan. Before he leaves, Hanuman asks Lord Rama for a token that in case he does find Sita, he could show it to her to make her believe that he truly is a messenger of Lord Rama and not one of Ravan's tricks to fool her. Lord Rama gives Hanuman his ring. Hanuman puts the ring in his mouth and starts on his journey of crossing the ocean and finding Sita's whereabouts. The first line, Prabhu Mudrika Meli Mukh Mahi. Prabhu means the Lord and is referring to Lord Rama. Mudrika means the ring, and Meli Mukh Mahi means inside his mouth. So basically, Hanuman takes the Lord's ring and puts it inside his mouth. Jalthi landhi gaye achraj nahi. Jaladhi means the ocean, the vast ocean. Landhi means jump across. Gaye achraj nahi means without any difficulty, with ease. It was not a struggle for Hanuman to jump across the ocean. So let's repeat this verse a few times so that we can practice sounding it out. Prabhu Mudrika Meli Mukh Mahi Jaladhi Landhi Gaye Achraj Nahi. Again, Prabhu Mudrika Meli Mukh Mahi Jaladhi Landhi Gaye Achraj Nahi. Again, Prabhu Mudrika Meli Mukh Mahi Jaladhi Landhi Gaye Achraj Nahi. Again, Prabhu Mudrika Meli Mukh Mahi Jaladhi Landhi Gaye Achraj Nahi. And the last time, Prabhu Mudrika Meli Mukh Mahi Jaladhi Landhi Gaye Achraj Nahi. And this takes us to the last verse of today. Let's start with sounding it out. Durgam Kaj Jagat ke jete Sugam Anugrah Tumhare Tete. The first line, Durgam Kaj Jagat ke jete. Durgam means difficult tasks. Well, Durgam Kaj means difficult tasks. And Jagat ke jete means in this world. All the difficult tasks of this world. The second line, Sugam Anugrah Tumhare Tete. Sugam Anugrah means are rendered easy. Tumhare Tete means when you are around. All the difficult tasks in this world are rendered easy by your grace. And let's repeat this verse a few more times so that it is easy to sound it out and you get fluent with it. Durgam Kaj Jagat ke jete Sugam Anugrah Tumhare Tete. Again, Durgam Kaj Jagat ke jete Sugam Anugrah Tumhare Tete. Again, Durgam Kaj Jagat ke jete Sugam Anugrah Tumhare Tete. And the last time, Durgam Kaj Jagat ke jete Sugam Anugrah Tumhare Tete. And this brings us to the end of session 9. Thank you everyone for your patience, and all of us are doing a good job. So keep it up and let's meet again for session 10 in a few days. Thank you.